Topp is a co-founder, operator, and the creative force behind Australia's most recognisable event experiences. From building Reminisce Festival, from a backyard party to the Sydney Maya Music Bowl with over 11,000 attendees, to launching Tailgate, now the country's largest Super Bowl watch party, Corey has consistently shaped culture through live events. He is also the co-founder of eventflo, the next-generation ticketing platform for event organisers by event organisers, redefining how fans and events connect. But beyond the titles and scale, he is someone who leads with intuition, creativity, and vision. And in this episode, you'll meet the deeper person than you see online, but most importantly, my partner and the person that I get to build this life with. Please welcome my boyfriend on the Authentic Me podcast for the first time ever, Corey Topp. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was waiting for the call up. Finally got one.
All right, let's get straight into it. And I want to get started on something that's happening right now for us is that tomorrow morning we pick up the keys to our own place.
We sure do. It's actually 4:00 this afternoon that we're picking them up.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay. We're picking up the keys this afternoon, apparently.
Yeah.
You're leading that. But I guess I want to share with the audience now, who is the man that you are in this season of your life?
Wow. Straight off the top, loaded question. I love it. Look, at the moment for me, as you very well know, this year for me is about doing less to achieve more. So I've always had my fingers in a lot of pies and done lots of events and lots of brands and lots of creation because I love creating, as you know, as creators do. And being entrepreneurial, short attention span, I like doing new things. And so, which is great and it's fun because it causes or creates a lot of, fun brands and fun experiences, but it can be a blessing and a curse. So at the moment, just really focusing on lasering in on mine and my co-founders and partners and shareholders' endgame, which is eventflo. It's our masterpiece that we're creating after 20 years of experience in the event industry, which is our ticketing platform built on blockchain, built on AI, and built to solve many of the problems that we've experienced over the years as both promoters and fans. So focuses on that and focuses about being a little bit less operational in, my other ventures, so to speak. So that's the season at the moment from a business point of view.
Yeah, love it.
Of course, I launched straight into business.
It's okay. We're both business people. We'll talk about the relationship side later down the episode.
Yeah. It also feels weird telling you all this stuff because you know it all.
Yeah, but this is the first time I think that people are going to be super keen to actually get to know you because, yes, you're on other podcasts and, yes, there's content out there around you in like short form, but I feel very honoured that I've get to, because I know what to probe as well and I know what to ask. So I think let's start with the pre-framing.
Yeah.
Let's start with people that absolutely have no idea what it is that you do or you just seem to be a really busy entrepreneur. But let's go right back. Have you always been entrepreneurial? What was your first moment that you decided that was it? When did you take that leap of faith?
Like the answer is yes, absolutely. I have been entrepreneurial, but I would say it was more around my fascination with experiences that I can look back to my childhood and say, oh yeah, that was all happening. Not so much necessarily that I was an entrepreneur. That kind of came later. Like I didn't do the whole lemonade stand, selling baseball cards or whatever that a lot of entrepreneurs say. I was more around for my birthday parties, for example. I'd be like, all right, Mum, Friday night, we're going to have a sleepover. Then Saturday, we're going to go to Time Zone. Then we're going to do laser hunt. Then we're going to have another sleepover. And then on Sunday, we're going to go to the rec center. And like all my birthdays used to be like 3-day full-on extravaganzas. And like, bless my mum, she was all about it, So my house ended up becoming the house that, all the mates would come around to. I'd throw these big birthday extravaganzas. And then in high school, my house was the party house. I had a shed out the back that I'd gone and walked around to all of the job sites, got out old rolls of carpet, put them all on the shed. So my shed looked like a patchwork quilt. It had all these different like brown carpet, white, orange, whatever, all stitched together with my ping pong table and had my PlayStation out there and all that sort of stuff. And had a stereo and everything. And then every time we'd be out at a party or out and about, everyone would always end up back at my place. So every Sunday morning you would go out to my shed and there'd be like 10 people just passed out on the floor. And then everyone used to come inside and Mum used to cook everyone breakfast and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. So that was kind of my first foray into, the events and the experience side of things. And then when I turned 18 and started going out, to nightclubs and everything like that, that's when the entrepreneurial part kicked in and I was like, this just has to be my life.
Yeah.
I was just obsessed. And from then on, from when I was about 18, the entrepreneurial side kind of kicked in where, similar to how I'm doing Tailgate now and everything, if I'm into something and I love it and I'm passionate about it, I'm like, I need this to be my business. And that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So had you had any other normal jobs beforehand?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my first job was at Baker's Delight, then Hungry Jack's for 3 years, which was
still hospitality, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? That's true. I hadn't even thought of that. And then I did apprenticeship as a plumber. So straight out of high school, didn't want to go to uni. I got into uni. But then the thought of studying for another 4 years, I was just like, no way.
What degree did you get into?
Sport and leisure management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense to what you enjoy now. But then plumbing.
Yeah.
So did you?
Yeah. So essentially I was going to go to the orientation day for uni. It was at La Trobe in Bundoora because I was going to be moving to Mount Buller and doing it up there. And I was just like, no way. No way. I'm not going. Like, there's no way that I'm going to study for another 4 years. I want to get out into the world. And so at that time, I was still working at Hungry Jack's and I was DJing every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all around the peninsula, 21st Century in Frankston, Kittens, as you know. You only found that out the other day, was my first gig at a strip club. Mido, I know you.
Where is this podcast going?
Do we want to stay on that or do we want to move on?
Stay on it.
Yeah. So anyway, was DJing everywhere. Selling heaps of tickets to festivals, Summer Days, Stereosonic, Future Entertainment as a promoter. That was my thing. And then Mum was kind of like on my case because at that time she couldn't see that it was going to be a future or she just thought it was going out and partying and everything like that, which is totally understandable. Yes, absolutely. And so she was like, you got to do something with your life, blah, blah, blah. I'd be there sitting at the computer doing all my mixes and getting new tracks for the weekend and all that sort of stuff. And she was like, come on, mate, and I thought, you know what, I do need to get something behind me. The lifestyle I knew from the start was not something that I wanted to do full time. And so, one opportunity just kind of popped up and I started working with a plumber and then thought I'll do an apprenticeship and that's kind of where it went from there.
Yeah, okay. And when did you know that plumbing wasn't for you?
Pretty early. So I quit after like 2 months and then had a month off. It was of plumbing, was going to take over the world, become a full-time DJ, like always had grandiose visions. Then I just realized, I needed something behind me. So I went back and then I ended up doing it for 6 years. So I finished my whole apprenticeship. I'd worked a couple of years as a qualified plumber. I got all my licenses, every single one, went to night school, did it all. And then literally almost to the day that I finished all of my qualifications that you can possibly get as a plumber, then I quit my job because we'd started Reminisce.
Yeah, right. Okay. But 6 years is not a small time to contribute to that. And on the side, were you still DJing or at least the social life was fueling sort of the excitement and experiences part of your life?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. And it gave me that, again, entrepreneurial kind of fix, I guess. But at the time, I had no idea about needing an entrepreneurial fix or business or anything like that. I was kind of just doing what I wanted to do. And I always had so much fun doing it. Then when it became not fun and it felt like a bit of a chore and, I'd have work on Monday and then Sunday night I'd be DJing at Q Bar and then I should have hung around to, network and everything. I'm like, I have to go home. I've got to get up at 5 a.m. It's now like 1.
Yeah.
And so that's for me when it kind of got to a point where I was like, all right, I need to wrap this up. And so I gave up DJing and promoting and everything like that and was doing full-time plumbing. And it was only when we had the idea for Reminisce, and that all kicked off, that I decided, no, this is what I want to do, and this is where I need my life to be going. And I quit my plumbing job. It was June 30, 2012, because I remember it was the last day of the financial year. That February is when we had the first Reminisce. And during that time, I'd come up with all these grandiose plans. But really, I had an annual 1,000-person event that I thought was going to warrant me quitting my job.
Yeah.
That was my rationale at the time.
But I also think that level of almost that exact sheer belief, delusional kind of energy as well, or vision, is what gets entrepreneurs to take that leap, to quit their secure job and then go all in on the thing.
Yeah.
So before I jump into Remy, because obviously that's a big part of your life, and to see the scale of it grow is just ridiculous. I want to stay on a little bit around family and upbringing, because I obviously personally know your relationship with both mum and dad, but I'd love for you to share like what you feel like your relationship with your mum is like, and how that has continued to blossom. What is the importance of good parenting and having a mum like Sandy?
Hi,
share
Mum.
something. Yeah, exactly. Because I know she's going to watch this as well.
Absolutely.
And she's going to be like crying.
She's going to message me after going, oh my God, you guys are so amazing. I love you.
So give her some, give her flowers.
Yeah. Well, she needs a lot. She needs a lot of flowers. Mum is has been my absolute rock through my whole life. There is absolutely not a chance in hell I would be anywhere where I am today without her. She's been there with the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and, I owe so much to her. She was a single mum as I was growing up and, raising me on her own. And she always tells the stories about when we moved to Somerville in '89. They're from the Bayside. She was living, I think, with Dad in Glen Waverley, something like that. Family was sort of all around Cheltenham and whatnot. And she always says when she moved to Somerville, it was like, basically she's moved to the country. It was like out in the sticks. There was just farmland there, one little strip of shops, and that was it. She bought a place, and that's where I grew up. That's where I spent the first, when I was 3 till when I was about 19. So first, 15 sort of years, 18 years of my life. And yeah, I look back at my childhood and I just think I had just an amazing childhood. Like we went through some shit, absolutely. I had a few dramas with, stepdad and stuff like that, and a whole heap of stuff we don't need to go into. But yeah, there were some really tough times. We did go through some shit, both of us, me and Mum. But I look back at my childhood and have just fond memories. And, that's a credit to her because she, was always I always just feel like a place of warmth, when I think of Mum. And then, as I grew up and sort of got older and, as you know, I'm an extremely emotional person and that comes with its challenges as well. Lots of ups, lots of downs. And through the stages in my life where I've had, been at rock bottom a few times, whether that's through business, work, relationships, whatever it is, there'd be times where I would literally call her 10 times a day. And I'd be ducking out from work, just trying to hold it all together. And she's just talking me through it,
Yeah.
And she just knows the right things to say, knows the right things not to say, knows when to talk and when to give advice and when not to and when to just listen. And she's just an absolutely incredible soul, as you very well know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And Dad?
Yeah, my dad, as you know, we're going through a few health challenges with him at the moment. He's got Parkinson's and God, we always talk about this. Like it's been 10 years since he's had Parkinson's and he's just been an absolute warrior the whole time. He just didn't let it slow him down. It's slowing him down now, as we know, and it's really tough to see him, declining. But God, he powered through it. He's always been someone who has been able to do everything himself.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a chip off the old block maybe, because again, that can be a blessing and a curse, and I do suffer from that trying to do everything myself. But he's one of those dads that he can fix anything with his hands. He can do anything. My whole childhood, myself and my brother Adam, we spent at Calder Park at the drag track. Dad's a petrol head. He always has been. He's bought and sold cars. He's been to America like 55 times, brought back American muscle cars, sold them, real wheeler and dealer. He was into drag racing, had a big, long dragster, the ones that have the huge wing on the back and the big wheels. They go, they're the fastest cars on earth, basically. So he had one of those all through my childhood. And Adam and I used to just run amok out at Calder Park and be back at Dad's place and in the garage. And, he could fix things and fix cars and do up cars. And that kind of led me into racing go-karts. Dad bought me a go-kart for maybe my 10th birthday or something like that. And then I ended up racing go-karts for about 7-8 years, which was really fun. So just some incredible memories of racing all around the country. Dad would pick me up on the Friday, and then we'd jump in the car, have the go-kart trailer, and, we'd go out all around Victoria and, Geelong and Hamilton and Puckapunyal, which we drove through on the weekend. Where we drive around, I seem to say, I used to race go-karts here. I used to race go-karts here. Yeah. So, again, just some incredible memories.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel like on both sides that parenting and having that relationship with them and kind of on both ends, they offer very different things, but very important traits altogether, has helped you go for the big things?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. I haven't really thought too much about it consciously, but the whole nature and nurture thing, as we know, we're both you and I are very curious people. So we're always talking about
Hence why I'm asking all the questions.
Yeah. So we're always talking about this sort of concept.
Yeah.
And like, why am I the way I am? I've always been asking myself that question all the time. Done a lot of therapy, a lot of introspection. And of course, your parents play a huge role in a lot of things. And look, my dad is definitely the entrepreneurial one for sure. As I said, wheeler and dealer, buying and selling cars, importing anything and everything from America. So I think that kind of entrepreneurial spirit definitely came from him. And mum on the other side is the opposite, but in a really good way as well, because I look at her now and how she's got set up for life, and she owns her house and she had some investment properties. She's sold them and now she's retired and she's just loving life, and she's made some really sensible financial decisions in her later in life that's got her really set up and really safe and really secure and got a foundation. So there's kind of two different, ways of going about things between mum and dad, but have both built the traits that are needed. And don't get me wrong, God, I've made shitloads of mistakes in my life, tons, as we all have, So you get the nature and the nurture from your parents, then you got to make all the mistakes yourself till you get to a point where you say, okay, now I can learn from those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Reminisce. How did the idea come about? Because it is a massive festival that almost every single person will know of, at least the brand name, and have attended once or however many over the last 12 years that this event has been running, which is just such a testament. You don't see music festivals and lifestyle events having such a long decade of history. They come and go. So how did it start? And then we'll lead into, I guess, what do you think it is that keeps people keep coming back so that your brand can stand for over 12 years?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, you can be pessimistic sometimes, especially if you own the brand, especially with events. So it's weird. I have this weird cadence. Every single year, I think this is the year that Reminisce is going to start to decline. And then every single year, it gets bigger, which is kind of a good thing because it keeps you at the top of your game and keeps you on your toes and keeps you innovating, keeps you improving, coming up with new ideas, and obviously caring about what people want and listening to the fans and listening to our audience and then going, how can we do it better? How can we do it bigger? I think if you get complacent and you think, oh, this is in the bag, you can lose sight of what you need to do. You can lose your edge, and then all of a sudden someone comes along and takes the mantle, so to speak. So, Yeah, I mean, look, how Reminisce started, I've told this story a million times, and as you know, I think that everyone has heard it a million times.
Not enough, and I bet you there's so many people, even the guys here at Roland Media, probably haven't heard of the story before, so give it to us.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the short version. So, I was having a bit of a tough time in my life, and I'd just come home from a holiday, which I had to cut short because I'd injured myself in Laos and I'd gashed up all of my legs and my legs were infected and, I was in a wheelchair, and if I had stayed there, I potentially could have lost my legs because they were all infected. So had to cut a 3-week holiday short after 3 days and was at home. It's quite miserable. Started to get on the mend. And once I was sort of getting better and I was able to drive again and stuff, I was driving along in my car and the song Music Sounds Better With You by Stardust came on. And it just like instantly transported my mood like that. And, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And I always say everyone's got that one song that every time it comes on, it just transports them back to a certain moment or a certain place in their youth where they were footloose, fancy-free, had no responsibilities. And that is so powerful. Are you thinking of the one song now?
Yeah, the one that just came up was Grand Central Station.
Oh, yeah.
So random.
Monkey Safari, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those Dancing Days, the song's called for those playing at home. Yeah.
It's just like the beat, like the melody just fully, started coming.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so see, and then you're thinking about, a certain time.
Don't know how good those songs are. I mean, they were great times, but the location of Revs is like,
Yeah.
Anyway, continue, please. But yes, totally get it.
So then I started chatting to some of my friends. And again, I always say this is very funny because I started saying, we should, do a countdown of house music, like the Triple J Hottest 100, but for house. And so at this time, I was 24 and I was reminiscing, wasn't called Reminisce yet, but looking back to when I was 18. So I was reminiscing 6 years before, which is wild for me to think about now. But anyway, and then I was DJing a party and I was chatting to my friend Benji and I was saying I wanted to do a countdown. And then he said, why don't we do it as a party at Bila, which was the party house, one of my friends, Courtney's house. That was a party house. So one thing led to another. We did a countdown party in the backyard, 30 people emailed in to me their votes. I tallied them up manually on a bit of paper and we played the countdown, 50 to number 1. And it was just the best night ever. Piss down rain all night. We were all huddled in this little tent, just going absolutely mental to 50 house songs. I was DJing and so did Middo. And we just had the best night ever. And so that's where it all started. And then after that, I went to Europe for 4 months and I saw all around Europe, I would just run into people. I remember this one guy, James, on South Croatia. He was like, I work in Aspen in the winter and then in the summer I go to Europe. And I was like, this guy's just living the dream. I was meeting all of these people who were just traveling, having a good time. And that's when I got back and was like, no, let's do something with this. And I said to Middo, my best mate and DJ partner and partner in crime with everything, we got to do something.
The other co-founder of eventflo.
Exactly. And so, one thing led to another. Everyone was saying, you guys have to do this as an actual event. And we got Prince lined up and did the first one at Prince in St Kilda in February of 2012. And again, the first time you do anything, everyone goes, that was unbelievable. Like Bila was unbelievable. It was the first time in the backyard. Prince, first time, unbelievable. Then the first time we went to the bowl, unbelievable. So that night was just one that would go down in history. And that was when the Reminisce magic was born. And ever since, there's just been something about it. Like people have just had this pure love for the brand and we've sold out every year. And when we were at Prince, we were selling out every year, just almost getting to the sellouts now at the bowl. But it's this unexplainable energy in the room. And, since we've been doing bigger shows, I've received messages from people that say like, I remember one from my friend Justin and he wrote, I love what you do, but you do more for my marriage than you'll ever know. And I remember thinking, what the hell? Like, how? And then we chatted, and I've chatted to other people since then. And I think it's because life these days, everyone's so busy, everyone's under the pump, everyone's ultra connected with their phones and their tablets and their Netflix, and everything's all digital, and there's so much constant pressure on people, especially young parents, because they've got to juggle parenthood, work, et cetera, Reminisce is their time, one day a year or two if they come to Reminisce Trance, where they can go out, they can get the babysitters, and they can just reconnect and, get back those feelings of their youth when they were younger and they were together and they were footloose, fancy free, didn't have kids, and sort of really rekindle the spark, so to speak. And so for it to go like full circle like that, I remember that when Justin said that to me, that was a really big realization that like this is beyond us now. It's more than that. It's a brand that people connect with so much, and to be able to have that kind of impact is so cool.
And you'll never know the totality of the impact that you have on that ripple effect of the 11,000 just this year gone of attendees, that then what does that look like for them to get that glow up after an event, or to have a moment where nothing else actually mattered. It was just the music, their friends, their outfit for the day. And that's really, really special, you know. And I think both of us, when we create events, I always say my intention is always at the end of the year, of the calendar year, and people look back and they have these highlights, or what did they love about their year. I just hope that one of our events were one of those highlight moments. And I think you're very much the same as you create these experiences, because it's so much more than an event. It's so much more than the one day that they come into the bowl and do that. It's the experience of everything for, a long time.
Absolutely. It is. It's incredible. And as you said, you can get caught up in executing the event and focusing on, the handful of people that always complain and everything like that. And sometimes you got to just step out and have a look and go, wow, this is pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay. Tailgate, because then next I feel like came Tailgate. This is more recent. It's been 4 years. Is that right?
We've done 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
So coming up to 4 years of Tailgate. How did this brand come about?
Yeah. So again, like I was saying off the top, love NFL, right? So something that is a real passion of mine, an obsession. I love NFL. I love traveling.
AFL.
I love all sports.
Everything.
Every single sport I love, as you know. But it kind of was stitched together through multiple kind of avenues, because total obsession with NFL, have loved it for 15 years. Then being very passionate and opinionated on how sports are covered. Loving American sports, going to America, going to the games, watching it over there, going to sports bars. I love traveling around and going to sports bars in different countries and watching sport. And then, being really passionate about how things are covered. So I would get frustrated at how Super Bowl parties were ran in Melbourne, in Australia, whenever I'd go to the Super Bowl party. And then be really passionate about the commentary and the entertainment side of things in Australia when we'd go to the footy. And I'm a Saints supporter, as you know, so
Sorry for your loss.
I know, sorry for my life of misery. I get to go to Marvel Stadium, on a cold Sunday afternoon, and you can hear a pin drop in there, and it's frustrating. And being someone who loves entertainment and big loud parties and, everything like that and events, I was sort of like, we have to do something. We've got the experience now with Reminisce and running big, massive shows. I've got the love for NFL. I want to just be at a good Super Bowl party myself. So why don't we do something? And so I went to the States in 2023, and I'd been talking to Ash and Adam from the Timber Yard, who we do Reminisce Trance with, about this Super Bowl party vision that I had. And we were going to do it the year before. And then for whatever reason, life got in the way. It didn't end up happening. And then I went to a Dallas Cowboys game in 23. And then I went to a place called Texas Live in Dallas and walked in there, and it's just like a stadium, but it's a sports bar. And I was just in love and got back, again, it's the traveling that motivates you. Whenever I've got back from a big trip, I've always got back, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And so that's what I did. I got back from that trip and I called up Ash from Timbiard and said, mate, we're doing it. This is the date. Block it out. It's happening. And then, I had a chat to my good friend Gaz, who had done Melbourne Street Eats and owned a bunch of venues, also loved NFL. Same thing as the other. One thing leads to another, and next minute
there's a whole entire show in production.
Yeah. So that's all how that came about. But I remember there was a few things. Firstly, the word tailgate, which is now you think like, how could it ever possibly be called anything else? I always envisioned it to be called Tailgate, but I remember earlier, I think it was Gaz or maybe a few other people were like, I'm not sure, because it's not a tailgate. They were worried that we weren't actually going to be doing a traditional tailgate, which is cooking food out the back of your car in a car park out the front of the stadium. And so, but I was just steadfast on it. I'm like, no, it has to be called Tailgate. I really vividly remember that. And then got Gaz on board, and then our other good friend, Gaz and Daz, the great men, reached out and he's like, boys, I've got a ton of contacts that I reckon I can really help, you guys out. And so Daz came on board before we did the first event. And so now it's us three in the partnership. But I remember people saying, that's a lot of people to do, because Timbiard holds, 1,500 for a seated, the way we do Tailgate. Can do 3,000 for Reminisce Trance, but the setup and the floor plan for Tailgate was going to be 1,500. And our break even was like 800. And I remember we got some sponsorship. The guys from Ladbrokes, it took a lot of convincing, because they were like, we love this. It's a really good idea, but 1,500 people to walk in at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning and start drinking Budweisers in Port Melbourne, and you're going from nothing to that. They're like, that's huge, boys. Like, they go, we're going to back you in, and we think that you can stretch to 800 and get your break even, and we can grow this, year on year. And so that was the kind of thought behind from our sponsors, even from ourselves and from the venue and all of that. It was like, let's scrape to 800, get to the break even, and then we'll then build it from there. Well, we launched it and it sold out within 16 days.
That is wild.
We sold 800 tickets on the first day.
Yep.
So we broke even within like 2 hours of going on sale. And that was from all of the experience over the years of building events, growing Reminisce, and knowing how to create a buzz and a hype and getting people to sign up, and then over communicating with them and taking them on the journey and really causing like a feeding frenzy. And I'd become really good at that. And so I'd always kind of back myself in for Tailgate. Didn't expect to sell out, as quickly as we did. But the rest is history.
Yeah, and it's pretty phenomenal. Anyone that's ever entered one of your spaces that you've created, like the energy is electric, and it's this band of it's culture, right? Like I said in the intro, is you're able to find a like-minded value alignment and synergy between everyone that's attending, and that's how you build culture, and that's how you build communities. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I say now, is like, where is your community? Where is your ecosystem? Because once you find that and you find your people, the rest is easier. And then you can do marketing and you can do all these other things with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Community is everything, as we know. You build the community and the rest follows. And so quite often, a lot of event organizers, they're wearing a million hats. They're doing a million things. And a lot of the time they are great at comms. They're not necessarily experts at sort of stitching it all together. And the ones that are the ones that have the massive success, and they can create community. As we know at the moment, our good friend Danny, he's just absolutely killing it, going from strength to strength.
Shout out to Danny Rants.
Absolutely. This is a masterclass in marketing, absolute masterclass. And I love watching him do his work. And I was fortunate enough to work with him on Reminisce this year. And it's been awesome. The
orchestrated gig, right? Like, and then now Melbourne Sound, like his ability to tap into exactly kind of a similar kind of thing is we want that nostalgic moment Because things were a lot easier back then. Even now, there's studies that say that the 2000s or the Gen Z kids, they're nostalgic over a time that they didn't even live in, And there's studies around that going, that's why they're dressing like the 2000s. And there's this overhaul of fashion and music and of a time simpler then, of festivals that you can go away and you can switch off and completely detox. Because we're sick and tired of being sold to in that traditional way. The pendulum's almost swinging back the other way.
Absolutely it is. And it's hard to try and not sound like an old fuddy-duddy, like old man yells at cloud back in my day, which I try not to do. But yeah, I mean, if I can just put a little disclaimer up and to say I don't want to sound like that, but it just was like, and I think again, going back to the whole life was simpler, I really think that has a lot to do with it. We weren't as connected. We didn't have as much comparison and as much stress in our lives. It was more just go to an event, connect with your mates and wing it, and the day just flows.
Don't have to post it all on socials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these days there's just, oh God, you just don't get me started. I'm always complaining about it. If you see videos from, Coachella or, Afterlife and all these different gigs that are playing, which are awesome, but it's just everyone standing there with their phone like robots. It really hurts. So I think that that's what people are enjoying when these nostalgic gigs are coming up. It's the connection. It's the reconnection where they can go there and so many people say to us, Reminisce is so cool because you feel like everyone there is your best friend and there's no judgment. It's freedom of expression. People can just do and be and whatever they want, and people go and make friends. And, that's what it used to be like. I remember I used to rock back with like 10 new mates to my group of mates. I'm like, hey, this is Robbo, this is,
It's so Aussie sometimes.
Just make all these friends.
Gaz, Daz and Robbo.
I'm like, he's a legend,
Yeah.
Met him 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We're going to be besties.
Yeah.
And so that's what it sort of was like. And I'm not hating on what it is today, but I think that that's why a lot of even the younger generation are coming to Reminisce and the orchestrated gigs and all that sort of stuff, because it's almost like they can just feel that energy that's permeating through. There's so many incredible events going on, and there always will be to the end of time. But I think it's just that bit of magic, that bit of connection that people like with the nostalgic shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously I want to get to the last one before we go into some other juicy stuff, and I'll try and be a little quick because I'm conscious of your time and how busy we both are as business owners. So this has been really, really special.
I've always got time for you, babe.
Yes. But eventflo obviously is the next thing. That's how we met, how we connected. We had an eventflo business meeting, if we want to call it that. But I'm super excited about this as an event organizer myself, and knowing just how many pain points there are and problems that we face as event organizers through the customer experience for ticketing. How did that idea and vision come about? And also tell us the name before eventflo, because I can't actually imagine it being anything other than eventflo. And the name you and Mido originally had is just trash.
Oh, that's rude.
What was it called?
Event flux. Because I always like the word flux. It's in a state of flux, like it's never ending, flow. And so, as you know, I'm a very flowy person. So
eventflo.
Anytime.
You got to keep it as eventflo.
Yeah, but anytime, I get stuck in traffic, or my Wi-Fi doesn't work, or a song that's stop and start, I hate. So I always like flow, and Mido's the same. So, I've always thought about getting a tattoo that says the word flux, like in a state of flux. And so that's where it all came from. And I think the only reason we changed it was because there was another brand called Eventflux, I think.
Well, the event gods decided,
Yeah.
and I think that
I can't even remember.
I'm going to
It
put
wasn't
a
that long
poll
ago.
up on socials. This is going to get clipped into a reel. I want to see people say eventflux versus eventflo.
Well, like you said, it can never be anything else now. It's Eventflo.
Yeah.
So that's how that came about. But yeah, I mean, as with everything else, it came about just from our lived experience. So when we teamed up with Hardware for Reminisce in 2019, we went from a small club show to a massive festival. And that wouldn't have been possible without hardware. And that led us to start doing business with Richie from Hardware. And I was doing a lot of their marketing for them as well, and Symbiotic. And so we were sitting in the office every day. I was working out of their office, just whinging about ticketing platforms. And, the good thing about myself and Mark is that I'm more on the marketing side and the digital sort of marketing and communications and everything. Mark's more on the tech. And then when Richie sort of came in, Richie brings that big event muscle, 30 years experience in the industry. He is absolute Rain Man when it comes to reconciling numbers and all that side of it from the event side of things, and budgeting, expense codes, line items, all of that.
And for those playing at home, obviously festivals that Richie has built and sold and done successfully would be
Stereosonic, the biggest one that everyone knows. Not Summer Days, Stereosonic, Two Tribes was his other big one at Melbourne Park.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of the raves down in the docks and in the sheds, but he ran raves all through the 90s. And then he did Stereosonic, and then he was doing Pure, Picnic Electronic, and now they're doing Hypersonic, Dream State, all the big festivals. Yeah. So to have Richie's, not only his mind and his advice, his business advice, but also obviously his black book of connections and everything like that is absolutely invaluable. So between us three, we had heaps of pain in terms of being frustrated with ticketing platforms, both as event organizers and fans. I don't need to sit here and talk about all of the pains that everyone has with ticketing platforms. Everyone knows it. And so we originally were just like, let's create our own ticketing platform for Reminisce. That's how it all came about. And then we started doing the concept for it all, and one thing led to another, and we thought this could really turn into something. Like, we have got the dream team on board here. Let's explore actually creating our own ticketing platform. And then Mido built a prototype, and he'd sold out of a business before that. So he had a bit of spare time in his hands. He's like, you know what, let's go full time with this thing and let's actually do something with it. So that's when we decided to make something of it. He built a prototype. We had a product, and then we decided we need to build this on the blockchain. And so there was our first big pivot. So we've had two big pivots already, as what happens with startups and tech. And that was our first pivot when we decided to build it on the blockchain, because the way that blockchain works now, it's a public, or has always worked, it's a public ledger. Every single transaction that goes on the blockchain is able to be viewed. You can't identify the person behind it, but you can actually see the unique sort of ID. And the technology allows ticketing to be extremely secure, because every ticket is minted on the blockchain and it can't be photocopied, screenshotted, passed around and sold to 20 different people and scammed. And so that technology was what was going to allow us to solve a lot of the problems in the industry. So then we went and built it on the blockchain, and one thing led to another. Again, we had a product, we used it, we used it for the after party for Reminisce last year in March. Then we used it for Reminisce Trance last year in August. And again, lucky enough to have some incredible advisors. Rudy, who is one of the co-founders of Circle, which is a very, very large training and community management platform, is also one of Mark's good friends. He said, boys, you have got to make the switch to AI development. At the time, we had human developers. We had an agency. We were spending a lot of money. And we did a big whiteboard session and worked out, okay, we're going to go down this angle. So we blew up the whole product again and started completely fresh and build the whole thing again. Ticketing, pre-sale, resale, 4 apps. So organizer app, fan app on both Android and iPhone got built in about 6 weeks. So something that we'd spent 2 years on, we built in 6 weeks with AI and a couple of developers, and Mark in his cave being an absolute genius that he is. And we probably advanced the product another 12 months down the road. So we advanced 3 years in development in 6 weeks. And now that is the modern day event flow of where we are now. And we just did Reminisce at the Bowl, 11,000 people through the gates. We've got a whole heap of shareholders on that are ready to put their tickets through the platform, and we're ready to go.
I think this is the company that we're going to see, obviously, as a global opportunity and a global brand as well, because it isn't bounded by country, what you're about to do.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's multi-currency. Multi-currency is already live. We've already had a show live in Bali or going live. So the scale of event flow is untapped.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. That being said, we got a lot of challenges in front of us.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of market share to attack, and a lot of problems to solve, and a lot of headaches and hurdles and trials and tribulations and challenges ahead. But the people that we have in and around our business, our shareholders, partners, advisors, is just incredible. And so, we've got no better team to attack this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. And then the last little logo for those watching on YouTube or the video is MCO that I'd like to bring into the table. And then I think for people listening is like they're hearing this going, oh my God, this guy is busy, right? And then for those that are in my community go, oh my God, Mel is so busy. How the hell do these two even have a relationship, right? All things aside, guys, we're actually dating. It might not sound like it right now because we're talking about business. So you helped me so much with my business, and MCO is going through an internal rebrand because it's actually called Mel Corey Organization now in my head, which we love. But it was obviously, it stood for Melissa and Company. But yeah, you've contributed a lot into that. And I want to know, or like your insight into how do we maintain our relationship while we've got all of these brands, entities, operations, teams, business running all at the same time?
Yeah, so good question. I think that it was something that we were really conscious of from the start, right? Like, remember, we've even spoken a lot about before I asked you out, we followed each other on Instagram, and we kind of had random chats just on DM because we had a mutual respect for each other, and we'd be just chatting back and forth about business. And then when we ran into each other that time and met for the first time randomly, and then I started thinking, because I felt that energy straight away, that connection. But then it took me like 3 months after that to actually ask you out. And because I just kept thinking, I reckon there's something there, but I thought, when would we ever see each other? I don't necessarily know if I want to open that can of worms, because what if we end up just not having time for each other because we're both so busy? And I've obviously been in different relationships and bounced back and forth over the years between like, I really feel like I need a partner who's entrepreneurial like me. And then other times I've thought, no, maybe I don't. Maybe I need someone, he's a little bit more on the 9 to 5 mindset, which is totally fine. And, they can be a little bit more steady and chilled, and I can be a bit manic and crazy and busy, and maybe that works, And so that's why I was conscious of that. And it did take me a while to ask you out. But then when I finally did and we started seeing each other, obviously it was just instantly, we knew we were the one, we were going to be together, and we've just made it work. And I think a few things. I think the first thing is that we don't see work as work and play as play. There's a great quote by Richard Branson that I've always loved. I don't see work as work, play as play. It's all living. And I think we both embody that, because if I'm sitting there at 11 o'clock at night, probably not so much anymore because you're the night owl, I'm the morning person, let's say 5 o'clock in the morning, working away, putting together some ideas for the visuals for Reminisce, I'm not working. I'm having a great time, And I think because we both treat it that way, we're able to spend 2 hours on the phone at night debriefing our days, and we're still connecting in that. We're not, we're talking about work, let's talk about something else. So I think that is a huge part of it, that it's kind of just our whole entire soul and being is what we do. But on the flip side, being super conscious to make time where we have us time and, let's put the phones over there, no phones in the bed, all that sort of stuff, going out for dinner, phones away, and making time for our relationship, because you just have to. Like, you just have to. Till the day you die, it's just so important, as we both know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think I'm always so shocked by the fact that we're both in events. It's just wild that I think the thing that makes it work as well is we understand each other's languages. If you're in completely different sectors or industries, sometimes it's just like you're learning a whole new vocabulary. Whereas with us, we kind of understand the world that we both play in, although different, but very, very similar in terms of maybe I'm a bit more corporate and conferencing and you're obviously more music production, but the language and even the cadence of our day-to-day schedules is, okay, when it's event season, well, there's 14, 15, 16-hour days or whatever on site bumping in. It's not a regular 9 to 5 and neither of us have that.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, it's so important. I think that, again, at the start, when we started dating and I was talking to people, I'm like, we just speak the same language, which is really cool, because it does. It makes a huge difference because we understand each other's world.
And then on the devil's advocate side is, you hear some people being like, if you work together, it's like, oh, good luck. Marriage never goes well or a relationship never goes well. What do you have to say to that? Do you feel like there's going to be opportunities where we work together, or it's better that obviously separate entities, things like that? Where does that line sit with you?
Yeah, I feel like that we've always said, again, that we'll do something together one day, but I feel like now with MCO kind of being a bit more actively involved in that, we're kind of naturally already just doing that, not necessarily do an event together where we speak or something like that. But again, I think that if it ended up in that position where we were working in the same organization every single day, you would then again have to just have that awareness and be conscious of could this get to a point where everything becomes a bit work, transactional kind of thing, and then you separate your work and your personal life. Again, it would just come down to the awareness and making sure that, we structure our separate time. It's like we structure our time together. Well, in that case, maybe we'd have to structure, we've got to make sure that we make time for our friends and our social life and, your girlfriends and my mates and stuff like that, rather than kind of just being in each other's pocket every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think going back to what you said about Richard Branson's quote, it's we are just the embodiment of living. So it would just be a next season of whatever that looks like in whatever way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I feel like there's going to need to be another part 2 because I didn't get through, right? I didn't even get through anything. So I need to finish it off with something juicy so people can grab onto.
We need more
juice. Because they probably were listening to this going, what are we going to get from a relationship perspective?
Part 2 can be juice.
What are you most excited about in our relationship at the moment and in the next sort of, let's say, short to medium term, let's say 3 to 5 years?
Well, at the moment, focusing on just moving into our new place,
Which we got to leave to pick up the keys, apparently. Yeah.
When you make a change in life and sometimes it might be premature, sometimes it might be too late. Me personally, I'm at the point now where I'm just ready. I'm so ready. When you're ready, when you're constantly thinking about, setting up our place and, how we're going to set up the furniture and all that sort of stuff and just setting up our little life together. So for me, that's what I'm focusing on a lot at the moment mentally, which is cool. And so I think just doing that is going to streamline everything so much. And again, it's been harder on you because you're the one that always has to come to my place. Not has to. I was offering about 685.
I think this is such a guy's thing that the girl just always ends up going to the guy's place.
Yeah, but I was so pushing, not pushy, but I was pushing a lot babe, we can go and stay at your place. We can go and stay at your place. We can go and stay at your place at the start forever. And you were just like, no, I'll come to yours. I'll come to yours. So it's been harder on you because you've always got to pack a bag and worry about Nugget and this, that, the other. So yeah, it's just going to be a lot more streamlined, you know. And then again, you know, the next phase of our life, having babies, getting married, all that sort of stuff.
There, he said it, guys. He said it. There's a commitment there. Well, we'll see. You'll see. We're waiting for an actual commitment.
Well, you know what? Like, we've literally been so open from the very start, haven't we, about speaking about that. So it's not like something like, oh, when are we
God, do you think he's going to ask you?
When are we going to talk about it and all that sort of stuff? You were on our third date like, are we exclusive?
Red flag. No, I think that's a green flag because I remember just on that one, on the third date, my friends were like, everyone basically was like, just be cool, you know, it's your third date, just have fun with it. Don't put any pressure on it. Just relax into it and have fun because you were cooking for me. It was like the first time that you're like, I'll make dinner. I was like, and he cooks, damn. And then we were sitting on the couch and then I was just like, so, oh, don't worry. And then you're like, wait, what the hell? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'll ask you on the fifth date. Don't worry about it now. And you're like, no, you can't do that. And then I just basically was like, well, I just want to know like whether we're exclusive or not. This is date 3. And the biggest green flag that you ever did was without a bat of an eyelid, without any hesitation, you were like, well, if we weren't exclusive, like what are we doing this for? And it was just so reassuring for my nervous system and so grounding and calm and secure because you just were so grounded and calm in that moment of like, yeah, we're exclusive. It wasn't like I'm just sussing out my options or, you know, just anything like that you might get in a really early phase of a relationship, which was so special.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was off the cuff because it was just what I was thinking at the time. You know, like to me, it was an obvious thing. Not that I probably hadn't actually consciously thought about it, but when you said it, I'm like, well, like I'm dating with intention. I'm looking for a partner. I've been literally had my eye on you for like 3 months waiting to ask you out on a date. And so then I thought the timing was right. And obviously sparks were flying from the jump. So why the hell would I be interested in seeing anyone else? I was like, this is, you know, let's try and make this a thing.
And then in that same date, that third date conversation, another thing that you really said was like, you were like, hey, babe, can we promise each other, do you remember this? Like you're like, can we just promise each other that we'll always just communicate with anything that's on your mind? So if you just have a thought like that, to just speak up and just put it all out on the table, and I promise to do the same. And again, do you remember that? Yeah. And that was just also another thing for me where I was like, this is such a safe space. And for any woman that's listening to this or that feels like they've gone through just a tough time in relationships, or not even tough, just going through a wealth and depth of relationships, just know that like that person for you is coming, and that person that is the right person will make you feel really, really safe. And it'll be both. It'll be the butterflies and the excitement, but you just have always, and everyone around me has noticed, is like you just ground me in such a way where I feel like I can navigate. And we've got so many challenges that have been happening outside, you know, in my life, in business and in just experiences at the moment. But everything that's hard just feels okay, and that we'll get through it because I have you by my side.
Oh, babe.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
Yeah. It's so grounding.
Yeah. It's cool. It is really cool. And I think the communication side of it, again, everything comes from making mistakes. And so you look back at, you know, previous relationships or whatever it is, and you go, okay, how can I be better? How can I show up better, you know, for this, you know, for this person? And for me, I was just wanted to make sure that from the very start, we didn't ever hold anything in. And, you know, of course, there's times where you're thinking something and you're wondering, oh, maybe I'll bring this up, and you don't do it for whatever reason. You wait a couple of weeks or whatever. Like, that's just human nature. But, like, never stew on anything and think, oh, no, and then things fester. It's like, no, just get it out on the table. If the other person is not what they want to hear at the time, if you both make an agreement with each other to hear the other person's point of view, even if you disagree with it and it's jarring or, hurting or whatever. We both make an agreement that when we feel emotionally triggered, we try to regulate and say, hang on, listen just to what they're saying and try and see from their point of view. Like, you can't lose if you do that. You can't. And it's been awesome that that all sounds black and white. Yeah, cool, easy, do the rule, it's all fine. Well, no, like, we've obviously had our challenges in getting to know how each other need to be loved and supported, and space when we need space, and conflict resolution. And, how the other person can sometimes get triggered by past, traumas or whatever. And I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is that we've both been so open to improve ourselves for the other person and know, this is how I would usually react in this situation, but they need this. So I'm going to do that, and I think that's the coolest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the coolest person in my life, Corey Topp. I love you so dearly. I think there definitely needs to be a part 2. Obviously, when you're bringing an intimate partner on the conversations go so deep. But I really wanted people to understand the man that I'm dating, the businesses that you run. And I think the next episode will happen once we've moved in together, and we'll tell you how it's going.
Love it.
Thanks so much for coming on board. And you guys probably already follow him, but if not, and you're just listening and you're new to this show, this is the Authentic Me podcast. My name is Mel Yu, and this is my partner, Corey Topp.
Thanks, babe.